Good afternoon, Atlanta. You're listening to the new WCEG Network. The program you are listening to today is Veteran Today, and we are the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group. We speak live in the community. We being myself and my co-host, I am Herman Anderson. My Anthony, my brother, my co-host is Anthony Aiken. We've been doing this for about 8 years
Oh
now.
yeah, oh,
Getting
yeah.
names confused. There are several ways you can watch us today. Uh, we will live stream on Facebook, YouTube, uh, WCEG Network, WCEG TV, WCEG Talk Radio, and and Instagram. And also we archives our information on Facebook. Uh, our disclaimer is the topics in the opinion of those of the show hosts, not our guests. WCEG Network, WCEG organization is a nonprofit organization. We would like your donations. Our business office number is 404-490-8646. Good afternoon, my brother. How are you?
Well, how you doing there, Brother Herman? Um, it's so good to see you again, and it's a delightful day. It's a delightful day because God allowed us to wake up. But more importantly, we continue to speak truth into the community. And today we're going to have an outstanding guest, a young man that I've known since we were young boys, and we both served in the military together around the world, and he has just done some tremendous things that our guests would be delightful to hear from. We're talking about Major General retired Abraham Turner, and he'll be coming on about 12:15. But before that, Herman, there's a couple of things that I'd like to highlight for our listeners right away because it's about to end very shortly. Actually, it just ended. And today being White Cane Day and Blind Americans Equality Day, a celebration. Now, why is that important? Well, you know, I'm visually impaired, and I've had this going on since 2010. And after about 9 surgeries and scheduled for another one in December, I understand the importance of the white cane. I understand it because I was a knucklehead at first. I didn't want to deal with it. I had to deal with my own insecurities of dealing with something that I did not want to accept, which was my visual impairment. But after going through the adequate training at the veterans blind rehabilitation centers and speaking with other veterans who are in much worse condition than I am, I'm very pleased and honored to carry the white cane because it signifies that I'm visually impaired, but it also signifies that I've gotten training to be somewhat independent, but it also signifies to others out there to pay attention so they won't hit a person like me. And so I just want to salute all the veterans out there that are dealing with visual impairment issues, some that are blind, that you're not forgotten. Today was a White Canes Day and Blind Americans Equality Day. And I just want to salute you out there in our listening land.
Well, I salute you, and I also have learned from you. I received in the last 2 weeks. I have received calls concerning uh, people dealing with blindness, and I, uh, by me working with you and being your buddy and friend, I referred them to the organization
Thank
that
you.
I know you that they will get good service.
Yeah, and you know what that like your nonprofit, Visually Impaired Veterans of America, came out of a passion to help veterans who were not in the same positions I was in through benefits and compensation through the VA. That there is help out there. You know, it's people online, let me tell you, visual impairment is a serious illness, and especially when it's non-reversible, and even surgery can't help you. So you need the support of your family. I've had tremendous support from my beautiful bride to help me through with this. We're still going to fight trying getting her the caregivers that she deserves, but the system is working against us, but we're not going to give up. But for those out there going through this, I'm telling you, you're not alone. You're not alone, and there's work out there and help out there for you.
That's and and you mentioned that, and I also something that you and I are fighting for, and a lot of veterans is aid in attendance. I also was, of course, asked this twice this week for people that are dealing with the same issue we are, that are being denied. So, no, my recommendation to everybody is to keep trying, keep doing.
Yeah, and you know that the bad part about it is that when you take a look at the statistics, statistics state that 88% of applications submitted to the VA for either the caregivers or the aid in attendance, 88% are denied. So it's like an oxymoron. We want you to apply, but yet we're not going to award it to you. And we need to continue to fight that. The next step is to go through local representation. I did give a call to Senator Warnock's office just to let our listeners out there know that we follow that path. But they indicated from his office that since the claim was already processed, then we needed to follow that process because they could not come behind that since it's already in works. So we're going to continue on. Just want to let folks know that today is a day that we honor those veterans and those individuals that have the visual impairment with the White Cane Day and Blind American Equality Day.
Okay, let's item that I have that relates to empowering the community. I received this from Congressman Montgomery's office, and this applies to the hurricane, and it's idea of, I mean, it is a representation of WCEG being able to empower the community, and that Congress, this particular Congressman, Rich Montgomery, who is the 6th District Congressman, writes this. In the aftermath of Hurricane Helen, many Georgians are struggling to get back on their feet. During this time, we may put your political differences aside, work together to ensure state communities have the support they need to get back on track. I want to provide you with information that would be helpful as we recover from the national disaster. For information, the number is to call is FEMA 888 88. Let me start over. 888-621-3362. And the Red Cross hotline is 1-800-733-2766. And there's the footnote to this. Also, this letter informs you that Internal Revenue Service recently released guidelines for business and individuals in Georgia, as well as several other states, who were designated as impacted areas due to Hurricane Helena, and the IRS has extended the deadline to pay your taxes and file returns until May 2025.
Okay.
So that's just current information.
Okay. Well, look, I think we have our guests online. If our great production manager could bring him in, that'd be great. Are you there, General? Hello?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm locked
Okay,
in. I'm
great.
here.
Could you turn your camera on for us?
Okay, sure will. Hold tight. I'm coming up right now.
Thank you. There he is. All righty. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
We're just excited that you had the opportunity to check that big calendar of yours to join us.
Well, I'll tell you, I just came off of another Zoom with a company down in Jacksonville, Jacksonville, Florida. So yeah, I just changed across.
Well, I want you to know that right now you should feel really, really feel comfortable because my co-host is a young man that also knows something about the purple and gold.
Okay, all right. Two purple and gold men. Ain't nothing wrong with that. The only
Yeah,
difference from
yeah.
that is three.
Yeah, this is my very good friend Herman Anderson from Savannah State, and we've been doing this now for about 8 years, and it's just a joy, an ultimate joy for us to have you on. And just to let you know, at the beginning of the year, we had our grand boss list on.
Awesome. That's great.
So he's involved with our radio show, understands what we're trying to do. So Herman, this is the gentleman I've been talking to you about for a long time.
Good afternoon, sir. Good to
Good,
meet you.
good afternoon, Miss Herman. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right.
Anthony and myself started working. We have other nonprofits. We are both committed to helping veterans, their family. We advocate, we assist, we do. We put in a lot of energy to help veterans, their family receive their entitlements and understand their benefits. We try to help them navigate the VA system. So glad to have your experience and glad for you to be able to share some with us.
Well, listen, thank you very much, Mr. Anderson, for allowing me to join you, and of course to my great friend Anthony Aiken, who we serve together in several capacities. I'm just excited to be able to learn more about the work that you all are doing with veterans. Because when you say veterans, you might as well just go on and write Abe Turner's name right next to that phrase, because I too am a veteran,
Yeah.
and one that spent 35 years in. Okay, so yes, anything that helps veterans, I am 100% for. Okay.
I tell you what,
Okay.
let's tell our guests a little bit about you because I've known you a long, long time. But we're so excited because all of us are from the Deep South.
Okay.
General Abe Turner being from Mount Pleasant, which is right across the bridge from Charleston, a South Carolina State graduate, the son of Reverend Joseph Turner and his bride Maggie Turner, his beautiful wife Linda, I know quite well, and they have 3 children. And one thing that we both share a common bond to is that he called Lieutenant General Henry Doctor Dad. Well, Lieutenant General Henry Doctor was my cousin.
All right.
So, there's so much there that, he mentored all of us. He was sort of our I guess you would say, lightning rod. And when we were both in Korea, Abe and I were both in Korea, him being up in the division, I'm down in the Seoul area with units all over the theater. We come from good stock and pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
Abe coming from South Carolina State University, where they have, we used to call them the Pentagon of the South, because they had so many lieutenants that would rival the number of lieutenants coming out of West Point.
Yeah, well, it quickly moved to the Black West Point of the South. That's what we called it.
Okay, so in the South Carolina State program, going through the ROTC program, and what a distinguished military career. What a distinguished career. As a matter of fact, when General Turner, as a lieutenant colonel, would walk into a room, generals with stars would stand up.
Come on now, come on.
I'm serious. I've seen it. My wife's seen it, and I've seen it. Why? Because they respected what this soldier has done, not only serving in Iraq, Afghanistan, Grenada, all those different, Panama. He's been there, boots on the ground. So I just want our listeners to know that we have a 35-year plus veteran who served as commander at Fort Jackson in South Carolina, served as a brigade commander at Fort Benning, running the infantry school, a number of assignments at Fort Bragg. I can just go on and on and on. So welcome there, General.
Thank you very much. Thanks for that great intro, Anthony. And if you don't mind, I'll just I want to kind of break this down into segments, and I want to talk about my formative years early on, and then probably a little bit about my time at SC State with ROTC, and then I'd like to roll into my military career, if that's okay.
That's fine.
I may the information I share will probably foster some questions from you or some of the listeners that may want to type in some stuff in the chat or send some questions in. I'll be more than happy to address them as they come in.
Very good.
So, but I don't want to make this about me as much as I want to make this about some lessons that I've learned over the years and some tidbits I want to impart to the audience that's here today. Okay, for both of you, Mr. Anderson and Mr. Aiken, I want to share some things that I think will benefit the audience that's here, and things that have affected me that will benefit the audience. As Anthony mentioned, I grew up in South Carolina. I grew up in Mount Pleasant, and a little small town, now a large town because it's one of the quickest or the quickest growing cities in South Carolina right now. I went to high school there. I went through the up until about 10th grade, we had segregation in South Carolina. So I was at a segregated high school for a while, and then we desegregated high schools in 1970. And then my last 2 years was at a integrated high school, which was a huge shift, not just for me, but for all the students in the high school, because blacks and whites did not go to the same classes before 1970 in South Carolina. So we went through that transition. And the transition did not go as smooth as some people wanted it to go, but it was smooth enough to get us all out together and to graduate as one congruent class. So I feel very lucky that I got a chance to see both sides of it. I saw the segregated side, and I also saw the value of the desegregated or the integrated side. Then I moved on to SC State, where not only was it an ROTC, but hey, I marched in the Marching 101 band, okay? And for those of you who may know of the Marching 101, we were the premier marching band of the South, okay, when I was back then.
Well, let me correct you there. That came along until I went to Tuskegee, right?
Yeah. But yeah, SC State, and then while I was there, I got into ROTC. And the thing that attracted me to ROTC was that, first of all, my peers were in ROTC. There's some serious guys and gals, okay, in ROTC. I did not know a lot about the program at ROTC, but it started back in 1947. It was one of the first HBCUs to have ROTC. And since that time, we've commissioned over 2,000 officers. As a matter of fact, we promoted our most recent general, General White, who's up at not Piccadilly, one of the I can't recall the name of the base up in Illinois. There's a logistics base in Illinois that she's I think it's called Rock Island. Yeah, she's commanding at Rock Island, and she's number 25. Okay, so we've got 25 flag officers out of that program since 1947, and we have let's see, two females. We've got 2 Marine Corps generals, 1 Navy admiral, 1 Air Force general, and all the others are Army. Okay, so I'll tell you, and that's quite a feat, out of a small HBCU from Orangeburg, South Carolina, that started this trek back in 1947. So I mention that because I'm very proud of what this ROTC program has done and what it continues to do even to this. So I really feel good about the ROTC program. It still produces officers for our Army, and not as many as we have in the past because of the enrollment at the overall school and enrollment in ROTC, but it's still at the pinnacle of officer production for our Army. So I really feel good about that. And then, of course,
let me give you just a little bio because
just one quick point. I'm a Savannah State alumni. We used to play y'all every year in football. I actually finished Savannah State. I'm from Dublin, Georgia. I went to a segregated school, so I'm a little older than you guys, but I understand everything you're saying.
Yeah. Okay, super, Mr. Anderson. Yeah,
well,
Tony?
one thing I wanted to say about the ROTC program is that South Carolina State's ROTC program basically was sort of like the pinnacle for a lot of the HBCU ROTC programs. One in particular was their Army ROTC Hall of Fame, which General Turner is a member of. As a result of that, we got in touch, Tuskegee got in touch with the ROTC cadre there at South Carolina State, and we emulated our program to follow South Carolina State's program. So our program at Tuskegee started in 2016, and let you know, General, as of today, we've now inducted 130 officers as a result of following South Carolina State's model. So I salute you and
thank you.
Thank you. South
Well,
Carolina
my hat's off to Tuskegee. Everyone knows the history of Tuskegee and the Tuskegee Airmen and the value that they brought to our great military. And I'll tell you what, when they write the history books of this great country of ours, they must include the Tuskegee Airmen. There's no history book that can be written without including the successes of the Tuskegee Airmen in training, in action, in combat during World War II, and also what they continue to do for this country by going all across this nation and sharing the history of the Tuskegee Airmen, the great Tuskegee Airmen. So thank you very much for that, Anthony, with respect to Tuskegee.
Appreciate you.
But I came into the Army in 1976 as a young lieutenant, spent some time at Fort Benning, then on to Fort Bragg. And it was at Fort Bragg where I spent most of my time. With the 82nd Airborne Division. I started there as a young captain, battalion staff officer, company commander, and then on up to some division staff work when I was a captain. And it was after I left my first tour of the 82nd that I went back to South Carolina State to teach ROTC. So for 3 years, I taught ROTC at SC State with my Ranger buddy, and my Ranger buddy is Chris Jenkins. He's another frat brother who, by the way, Anthony, he pledged with me on the Watergate 28 line back in 1973. Chris Jenkins and I have been really close, and I call him my Ranger buddy. He calls me his Ranger buddy. Just spoke to him this morning, as a matter of fact. And he and I went back to SC State at the same time. Now, I don't know why the Army sent both Chris Jenkins and Abe Turner to South Carolina State at the same time, okay?
It was crazy.
Because what happened, both Chris and I had just recently been Ranger instructors back at the Ranger School. Chris and I went to Ranger School together as cadets back in 1975, okay? We were Ranger buddies in 1975 when we went to Ranger School down at Fort Benning, Georgia. We completed Ranger School, came back to SC State, spent our senior year there, and then as years passed, we found ourselves back at SC State together, two young Airborne Ranger captains teaching ROTC at SC State. Let me tell you, those cadets could not turn anywhere at all, man. We had them tight as a hat band, okay, on a hat. We had them hopping, okay? So as a result of that, you know, we had some great success. Out of that group that we trained back from 83 to 86, we have 3-star retired Stefan Twitty. We have 3-star retired Bruce Crawford. We have 1-star retired Richard Dix. We have 1-star retired Ken Hubbard. And we have several general officers that are still serving right now. Beagle, 3-star at Fort Leavenworth. And we have General White that's at Rock Island. And there are some others too that have since come through and passed. And I can't even tell you the number of colonels that we've had that have come through. So my point is that ROTC was very impactful for me because that's where I felt I made the biggest impact to our Army. And not just to the Army, but to the lives of our young officers. Because when I see them now, many of them have long since retired from the military. They're all successful, Anthony and Herman. They're all successful. They all have families. Some of them have grandkids. I mean, and I just see the success that we were able to help nurture when I see these literally hundreds of young officers that have served this great nation in uniform.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go on.
No, what you're saying right now is what our listeners need to hear, especially our younger listeners, to understand your path. And that path was started in your school systems and college and into the military. So we hope that, you know, we say we speak truth into the community. Your story is truth.
Right.
We hope that it will have some impact on some family member listening to this today, that their children, male or females, know that there's a path to success to the military.
Yep. And you know, yes.
Can I add one thing to that? The great success that's happening in the military, and one day you're gonna get out the military and you're a veteran, and we hope you become a member of one of the VSOs, American Legion, DAV, whatever. But also this generation, we membership is suffering. So we hope that the veterans that are listening to you, that are active now and that are not active, become, as you mentioned, more involved in the community, more involved in what's going on in this country, because we paid our dues to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Herman. And, we have to continue to attract our young veterans to come in and join our VSOs. I'm a member of 8166 VFW in Orangeburg and American Legion 39 in Columbia, South Carolina. I'll tell you, I think it's a challenge for our VSOs, our veteran service organizations, to attract veterans, but we can't stop, and we have to continue to reach out to them. And we have to continue to do things that they want to take part of. And I think what the VSOs need to really take a close look at is what type of community service and projects that they're undertaking, okay, each year, each annual. It can't just be business as usual with respect to just coming to a meeting every month and then not really paying anything back to the community. Because most of the veterans who come out right now who are leaving, or even retirees, they're full of fire. Okay, I mean, they want to do something, and so even if it's a tutorial program for high school kids, if it's a Thanksgiving drive to help some of the families who are less fortunate to get Thanksgiving baskets. Even if it's a bike repair project for kids at Christmas. I mean, there's so many things that veterans can just come in and make a project out of, okay, to get other veterans to come in and help them with it. Because I think the young veterans today want to see the utility of their work, if you follow what I'm saying. They want to be able to visualize.
Wonderful.
Yeah, they want to be able to visualize. So if I'm going to join this organization, what is it doing to help the community? They don't want to just join an organization, just come to a meeting every month and sit, and eat a dinner and then leave to go back home. That's not what they're into. At least that's what I've found. Okay, and so what I've encouraged the VSOs that I work with all the time is find some community activity that will attract these young veterans that are coming in who want to do community work. Okay, even if it means just policing the roads, so a lot of the roads along the states that we live in, they have signs that where someone has adopted a road, adopt the road and make it a project, and then assign veterans to come out and clean the roads and stuff like that. I mean, veterans will do that. Okay, what veterans will not do is they will not sit back idly and do nothing.
Totally agree. Totally
agree.
Okay. All right.
We're men of action, men and women of action. And I can tell you stories where young officers that have left jobs and gone to work for corporate America, and the first thing that they would do is incorporate some of their military training into that workforce. And he found out, and many of them do, that they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue on how to structure certain things and hold people accountable. And accountability is what we're all about. Accountability, following a plan of action, or operational order, you name it. What are your medals? And you're like, what the hell is medals?
The task list.
Yeah, there's some medals outside.
Mission essential task list. That's right.
Essential task list. So when you start bringing in your thought pattern and change, you can change a culture.
Right.
And your talk today will change some minds. I guarantee you.
I want to say a few things. I want to go back to a point that Herman made about, and you made it too, Anthony, with respect to family members having confidence that their loved ones can come in and serve and they'll be okay. So this part of what I want to talk about is really to the parents out there, parents who have young men and women who are considering service in the Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marine. So here's so to the parents. I used to be the commanding general of Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and in Fort Jackson trains over half of all of the new soldiers who come into the Army, more than half of the young ladies who come into the Army. Okay, and it's the largest training post in our nation. All right, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Most soldiers who have served in the Army as enlisted or NCOs, they came to Fort Jackson. That's just the way it is. Okay, it's just has a very good history, a large, robust history of training soldiers. Now, so as a commanding general of Fort Jackson, and I was the 41st commanding general of Fort Jackson, I think they're now on number 54. So that just shows you how long ago I was back there at Fort Jackson. The Army and all the services take special interest in taking care of their young trainees and the young recruits, okay? The very first thing that happens to your son or daughter when they come into the military, okay, first of all, they join a team, okay? And that in itself is reinforcing, okay? They have leaders like drill sergeants and they call them drill instructors in some cases that work them. Everyone thinks of the drill sergeant as this big mean guy or gal who's hovering over the soldiers all the time. Well, guess what? The drill sergeants are the people who really strip them of their individuality and bring on board the teamwork. Okay, and so teamwork is what it's all about. Okay, and I'll tell you that without the drill sergeants taking care of the young soldiers who come in, okay, and it could be an airman, could be a Marine, could be an airman or a sailor. But without those DIs and drill sergeants working with them, we would never have the transition from civilian over to military. Now, and having said that, their job is to take care of your loved ones. Okay. Not to beat them up and to tear them down to the point that you don't recognize them when they come, when you see them again. Oh yeah, when you come to the graduation, you're going to see a different person, okay? Because that different person is going to be saying, yes, ma'am, no, sir, how can I help you? I mean, they're going to understand some of the attributes of the service. In our Army, we have 7 values. The values are loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Those are the 7 values that we incorporate and we inculcate into every soldier that comes in. So when if your loved one shows up and doesn't have one of those values ingrained in them already that you have put into them, guess what? They get it before they leave Fort Jackson, South Carolina. I can guarantee you that. Okay, and they walk away a different person. So I know what goes into taking care of your loved ones. Okay, and we're serious about that. So if you have any doubt about them taking care of your loved one, all right, then you can just reduce that doubt, because I can stand here today and sit here this afternoon and tell you that just as I did back in the early 2000s, the commanding general of Fort Jackson, even to this day, okay, they're focused on ensuring that all of these young trainees who come in are taken care of, okay? When I say taken care of, I'm talking about treated with dignity and respect. Okay, with respect to helping them. Now, that may mean that it's just like raising a child. That may mean that sometimes you have to be a little stern with them. Sometimes that means that they won't get what they want to get all the time. That means that, we don't leave them alone to develop on their own. Because think about it as a child. If you have a child and you leave the child to develop on their own, you never correct them, you never put them on the right path, you never guide them, or for God forbid, you never spank them, okay, then guess what? That kid's going to grow up and be whatever you did not expect them to be. That's the bottom line. Okay. So we put guideposts on our training for our young trainees, and we welcome opportunities for family members to come in and visit. Okay. And that's just that someone said they're baby soldiers. Well, you can say they're baby soldiers, but they're real soldiers when they come out. Somebody's typed in just now in the chat, Anthony, they're baby soldiers. You can call them baby soldiers, but I tell you what, when they graduate, they come out of that last portion of training, whether it be a 1-station unit training at Fort Benning where the infantrymen go, or to all of the other MOSs where they actually do a BCT, basic training, or an AIT, advanced individual training. When they come out, they're soldiers. Believe me, they're soldiers. They're trained. They're ready to go. Okay, with that, hey, I just appreciate this opportunity, Anthony. I'll back off so that you and Herman can and address some other issues.
Oh, no, no, you're doing great. This is exactly what we wanted you to talk about because, again, we're speaking truth into the community, and what you just talked about was truth. We get them one way and they come out another way. So
yeah, this last discussion that you just had is great. It's I asked the right question to get the information that I want out to all the veterans, their families, and everyone. This was concise to the point. It's great.
You know what I recommend, Herman and Anthony? Let me tell you what I recommend. If you're out there and they can hear my voice in Radio Land, if you're near a military base that trains soldiers, okay, if you're near a base, okay, and you can get on the bases. I mean, everyone says, "Oh, you can't get on the." No, you can get on the base. Just go over there and go. All you need is an ID card, a driver's license, okay, and go on the base, and you can go. But here's what I want you to do. If you're near, particularly if you're near Fort Jackson or Fort Eisenhower down at Fort Gordon, if you're near Fort Sill, Oklahoma, let's see where else.
Fort Gordon.
I mentioned Gordon. Gordon is now called Eisenhower.
Eisenhower.
Okay, and if you're near Fort Sill, Oklahoma, so if you're near a training, Fort Knox, Kentucky, that's another one. If you're near in Fort Benning, Georgia, if you're near a training base, here's what I ask you to do. If you and your loved one, your son or daughter is thinking about going in the military, here's what I want you to do. Go to the military base and go to a graduation. That's right. Fort Benning is now Fort Moore. Exactly. Yeah, I'm an old school guy. Yes, now Fort Moore. go to the graduation and see the graduation of the trainees when they graduate. Now, Fort Jackson graduates every Thursday. Every Thursday morning, they have a graduation. So if you're in South Carolina and you have a son or daughter that's thinking about going into the military and you're in South Carolina, take that trip. Take that trip to go down and spend Wednesday night at a hotel somewhere, and then go on in Thursday morning and go straight to the they'll let you in. They'll let you in because all the other parents are there. And then when you get to the graduation, talk to as many of the parents as you can that are there and see the pride that they have for their young one coming across that parade field to graduate. And then once you talk to all those parents out there, sit in the stands and watch these young soldiers march past and the pride that you see on their faces of being soldiers, okay? I'll tell you, it's majestic. And even sometimes while I'm traveling on a Thursday, I'll just go down and sit in the stands myself just to watch it, okay? And I've served 35 years, okay? I get excited when I see them because it's the future. It's the future. It's the future of our Army, but it's also the future of our nation, okay? It's all about national security, having people who are willing to work and serve the nation, not just serve themselves, but selfless service. That's what it's all about, serving others, okay? So we all prosper together. Okay, I'll back off.
You see why he's a general officer, right? He's infectious. And that's what I love about him. He is infectious. He's truth. He's real. But you made a statement earlier that it's always resonated with me. And I remember listening to another veteran say this at another function. He said, children are unique. And it's unique because from the age 0 to 14, they are in what we call the record mode.
That's right.
They are watching you like a hawk. What are you doing? And from 15 on, it's called the playback. So whatever they learn, they're going to play it back to you. So, when they go into any of the training bases, they're in the record mode. They're watching and they're learning, the DIs and everybody else, the drill instructors, the company commanders and other things. So as the general stated, when they leave there, they're not the same person. They can play back to you what they have learned. And that was duty service to our country to keep our borders free. And that's what it's all about, because all gave some what some gave all. And we've both seen it. So you're right on, General.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you.
You're right on with your talks today.
And I'll tell you what we need also. In addition to just the young soldiers for the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, we need young officers too, okay? We need young officers who represent the minority complexion of our nation also. It can't just be the SC state, all right, or the Voorhees or the Benedict. that are producing, or Morris College in South Carolina, who are producing minorities for our Army. We need to attract more young officers who look like me that come into the service and want to serve. And in order to do that, we've got to ensure that we avail the opportunities to them. And one of the big opportunities is ROTC, of course. So I got to make a plug. I got to make a plug for any school that has Army ROTC. If you're out there in radio land right now and you're thinking about joining the Army, and if you want to go to college, and if you're thinking about going to college, do so, but also join Army ROTC or the Naval program or the Air Force program. It really doesn't matter, because all of them are producing great leaders for our nation. So this is not just an Army-centric discussion that I'm having here. I'm talking about all of the services that are producing young officers. And if you think that General Brown, who's now the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who is Black, okay, just happened to wake up one day and nobody convinced him to do what he did, to come through the system and to go all the way to 4-star in the Air Force. If you think that Lloyd Austin, who is now the Secretary of Defense for the whole United States, just happened to wake up one day and talk about going to West Point, matriculating through West Point, then through the military, and then becoming, the Vice Chief Staff of the Army, and then on to becoming the CENTCOM combatant commander, and then on to become the Secretary of Defense. I mean, somebody somewhere put an idea, an ideal in the minds of all these great leaders. Somebody put the idea in my mind, okay, as I came through, As a matter of fact, he was one of my ROTC instructors, Colonel Williams, okay? And so I'll just tell you that there are folks out there who are willing to work with you and mentor you. And if you have questions about joining in, I would gladly answer any questions. I would gladly talk to anyone. And Anthony and Herman, you can put my contact telephone number in your chat here. So for parents, they can give me a call. They got questions about a young one joining the Army. Or if you have young men or women who want to be officers, who are thinking about being officers, by all means, reach out to me. And I'll talk to you through, I'll give you even more dedicated time than I am here today to help you make that big decision. Do you want to come in and be a part of the A team, okay? The A team is Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, the leadership team, okay? Who will help to shape our military for future years.
I tell you what, you're burning us up, man. I can see a lot of good things coming out of this. Let me ask you from a standpoint after you retired and dealing with the VA. Can you give us some of your background on dealing with the Veterans Administration in your particular area, or other veterans that you know of?
Yeah, of course. Let's talk VA. Normally, when someone mentions the VA, they think hospital initially. Okay, the VA is much larger than a hospital. You have educational benefits and survivor's benefits and all that. But let's just talk VA hospital right now, because I think that's what you're leading towards, the VA hospital in itself. Or are you talking the VA overall? Which one?
VA overall, because
okay, super. Okay, let's talk VA overall. Okay, the VA is there to help all veterans. Okay, all veterans. Okay, and then there are some cases, all veterans who came out honorably, but then some cases where if you came out less than honorable, you can get some VA benefits. Not all of them, but if you come out dishonorably, there's an appeal process you can go through to try to get VA benefits. But the Veterans Administration agency is there for veterans, and you have to take advantage. If you're a veteran, you must take advantage of what the VA is providing for you. A lot of people talk about the services in the VA, but there are a lot of veterans out there who have not even entered into the VA arena. They haven't, because they don't believe that the VA is there to help them, but they are, particularly in the area of the medical pieces of it, okay? The medical services are just astounding. When I say astounding, I mean from the standpoint that the VA has been restructured over the years to focus on taking care of benefits. Now, I know we've had issues with the VA. We've had issues with timing to get appointments. We've had problems with the timeliness of getting medication. We have issues with VA losing records of young veterans, or veterans moving from city to city and the VA not talking to one another. But a lot of that over the years, now I've been retired since 2011. When I retired in 2011, I will think that the VA was probably running at about maybe about 60 to 70% efficiency, okay? And when I say efficiency, I mean they were able to do a lot of things, but they weren't really cranking like they should be cranking. And I'll tell you, over the recent years, I would imagine the last 5 to 8 years, the VA has really come about. And I'll give you some examples. Right now, you have the VA, all of the internet, the web-based VA support that you can go to for your health. You got is healthy, My Healthy Vet. You can go to that now. You can check where your appointments are. You can check your medication. You can change appointments. You can call your primary provider and talk to them. I mean, there's just they have gone well above and beyond. The VA stays up with the latest inoculations. You know, when COVID came through, the VA was quick to bring in the COVID inoculations. Even right now, most VAs have the most recent COVID inoculation that you can take. The VA keeps up with your fluids and the flu shot, and also the VA works hard to ensure that you get your annual physical, okay, because you're entitled to that, and then also that you get eye. All right, the only thing that's different from the VA right now that I wish they have is a dental, because you have to go outside for dental, but everything else is there. Hearing aids, eyeglasses. I mean, I think the VA is well on its way to mending. Now, I'm not going to tell you that every VA is 100%. There's some great ones out there. I know there's a great one down in Charleston, South Carolina. There's a great one in Columbia. There's a great one up here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The VA hub is in Winston-Salem, okay, North Carolina, not too far from where Fayetteville is here. I've never been to the Winston-Salem headquarters up there, but I understand that is really massive and they're doing great things up there. But if you're having an issue with the VA, I say just don't sit back and call and argue about it or fuss about it. Go to the VA. Go to the VA and they have a customer representative service right there. Just go and tell them what your issues are. And some of them may not know what the issues are. Most of the employees at the VA, and I'll put a plug in for them because my VA is maybe less than a mile away from me right here in Fayetteville. So when I go to the VA, I know most of the clerks and most of the secretaries, and they don't know I'm a general officer. They can give a clue less, you know. They don't know. But I just walked in, I'm just sociable. Hey, how you doing? Good morning, you know. And I go through, and even my doctors probably don't know I'm a general officer. We never talk about rank, you know, when we get in there, nor do I think it's important for them. But I will tell you that if in fact I find a veteran who's not being taken care of, then oh yeah, I'm a general officer. Then I go in and see the director, okay, and we're gonna talk about why we're not taking care of veterans. But I have not had to pull on the old Major General hat to go in there and talk to him recently, okay. But I'm pleased. I'm pleased with what's happening in the arenas that I know of, okay. But the VA, can they improve in some areas? Yes, they can. But I'll tell you what, they're working hard at it, okay. I think they're really working hard at it. Okay, back to you, Herman.
I got a question. It's everything you said is great, and it's so the technology has improved. The VA is more efficient, and the people not keeping up. Technology-wise, we are not keeping up.
Yeah. Well, that's something you got to remember too. And let me make this point too. The VA also, you know, it was great for them to go over this high tech, all the high tech stuff with My Healthy Vet and all that good stuff, My Healthy VA. But they got to understand that we don't have a lot of millennials that are veterans and retirees, okay? Most retirees are baby boomers like you and me, okay? We didn't grow up with the internet under our fingers every day. We didn't grow up with the internet structure. So when they went to internet, they've got to come up with a train-up program, okay, so that the older veterans can at least get some type of training offered by the VA to better understand. Now I know they're thinking about that and they're working at, because I've seen some snippets of it, but they've got the VA should go out to the VSOs, provide this training for the VSOs, to the VFWs, the American Legions, the AMVETs. They need to do things like that so that they can expand an understanding, because for most of the veterans our age, okay, all of that internet stuff is foreign. You know, it's foreign to them. You know, so we got to do a better job of, and that's a good point, Herman. We got to do a better job of bringing them on board. But you know, not everybody's got internet and web-based this and i17 iPad and i17 phone and all that, Apple phone. I mean, some of the vets, some of the older vets don't even carry a phone anymore because they get tired of trying to understand how to operate them. You know.
Yeah, so, your point's well taken, because we talk often about that baby boomer, us. If you do not have that training or access, utilize your grandkids, your niece, your nephew, your cousin, someone that can help you get the information you need to be seen at the VA for benefits and compensations. And the word we always say, earned, not given. What you
That's
learned.
right, earned. You better believe that. I use a term that for most of my older veterans, I tell them use the VA internet and all of the new technology that's introduced by the internet. Use it as a bonding system for their grandkids, a bonding system for their younger kids. Okay, and most of them have grandkids now. So I tell them, hey, go grab your granddaughter or grandson and bring them over to the computer. So you know what? Come over here and show granddad how to do this. Okay, use it as a bonding technique. Okay, use it because they can do it. I mean, because the kids, and listen, there's not a young kid out there today under 10, well, probably more than 6 years old that can't get on the computer and do anything on the computer more than I can do on the computer right now because they've grown up with it. They've grown up with the computers, you know?
Yeah, I have an image. I have an image of our son at age 2 with a headphone on and a little video machine at age 2, and I couldn't beat him. I couldn't beat him at any.
And don't try.
No. Well, I tell you what. In regards to let the folks know what you're doing now since you retired.
Well, there are a couple of things I'm doing. First of all, most of you may know if you read my Vita, I am the CEO of a consulting business, and it's called AT Consulting. And what AT Consulting does is I work with schools to ensure that their school certifying officials at the school, and these are colleges, that the school certifying officials are properly trained so that they can help veterans get their educational benefits. Okay. Every school that has a veteran attending should have an SCO, it's called a school certifying official. And that person is a link between the VA and that university, okay, to ensure that the veterans that are in the correct chapter categories get the money that they should be getting to go to school. And now, of course, there are different chapters, okay? Some veterans get tuition paid, book stipend, and also get a monthly stipend every month for billeting. All right. Some veterans just get the monthly stipends, okay, based on their qualifications, okay, with respect to chapters. And then you have some dependents that can go to school free based on the plight of their parents, or whether the parents died in combat or whether their parents are still alive and 100% disabled and all that. So what I do is I visit schools and I build those veterans. We call them Veterans Resource Centers, VRCs, Victor Romeo Charlie. And I've done several over the years, and I've been really focusing on HBCUs. Okay, I've been to several of them, built several of them, and I've been to some of them, and they do well without VRCs. But I continue to reach out to them and work very hard with them. And then the other thing I do, Anthony, with my consulting is I do a lot of speaking engagements around the country, and I speak a lot to young Americans. Okay. Not just young African Americans, but young Americans, teenagers. For some reason, they listen to me. I don't know why, but for some reason, they listen to me when I talk. And so I share what I think they need to do to prosper as they move forward in life. Okay, I try to share some life lessons with them. And then, of course, the other thing that I do that's really what I get paid to do is I do a lot of executive level coaching and training, leadership training, and that's what I was doing just prior to this call. I was with a firm out of Jacksonville, Florida, doing a executive leadership training session.
Well, I tell you what you just stated is what we actually needed to know, because that consulting services, and I'm glad you said that at the HBCUs, because I'm going to get you connected to Tuskegee through Major General Mark Brown, who is former Air Force 2-star general and now the 10th president of Tuskegee University. So we got to get you connected.
Yeah, I know him. I know him, and I know he just went down. He's not a 10th president. So yeah, we need to reconnect. Yes, indeed.
I'll make that happen. I'll make that happen.
Okay. Appreciate that.
But the other thing is that, reaching back and giving back and working with these different organizations, the VSOs and everything like that. So it's very, very important that we share that. So tell our listeners how to contact you.
Okay, great. And before I pass my contact information, my guiding light is that to whom much is given, much is required and expected. And that's why I do what I do, because I've been given a lot through the grace of God to wear these stars on my shoulders as a retired Major General. And I refuse to just have them sit idly there. The good book says when you get it, you don't hide it under a bushel. You got to put that light out there so they can shine, and that's what I try to do by sharing my news to them. Okay, I am at AT Consulting. All right, and you can reach me at AT Consulting. AT Consulting 2585 at gmail.com. AT Consulting 2585 at gmail.com. That's my email address. You can reach out to me there. And of course, the number is 803 587 2585. 803 587 2585. And for the parents out there, you're allowed to use that number to give me a call, please, because again, I want to talk to you about your son or daughters if they're interested in getting into the military. Okay, all the services, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, it doesn't matter. Give me a call. We can talk about it. But try to get out to some of these training bases and see the success that happens at these training bases. Okay, I'll close with that.
I tell you what, we're about to close out, but we got the Deep South online today. Our president, CEO, and the person that brought us up from a mustard seed has South Carolina roots. That's Penny Rogers, and our technical advisor, Ms. Vivian Gray, is a retired Army person. Army sergeant. So it's great. And Herman's picking us up. Herman's an Air Force guy. So
That's all right.
we allowed him to be there today. But I just wanted to let you know that from the WCEG Network family, you have just been tremendous. We salute you. We appreciate you. And Herman, why don't you just take us on out?
Well, we thank you very much. We appreciate you. The information is right on target. It combines a lot of what Anthony and myself has been talking about. It combines a lot with, I have a nonprofit. My nonprofit is Veterans Helping Veterans. I also participate in VSOs. All of that goes into my list of things that I advocate for, that I will be contacting you for additional information and advice. So thank you very much. And to all our listeners and to our organization, FINA, and Ms. Penny Rogers, and everybody at WCEG Network, have a good afternoon. Have a good Friday. And it's election time, so please go